Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Prince George's County Memorial Library System's virtual open mic series presented in conjunction with Creative Suitland, which is a wonderful arts hub here in Prince George's County. And shout out to our friends there and also at Joe's Movement Emporium. We are so grateful to all of you for joining us. We know many of you have been groupies with this series coming monthly, which has been really great. Thank you to the previous hosts for coming along to support your colleagues. That's really special. And it's a really great testament to the sense of community that poetry fosters locally and virtually, because we've had people joining us from all over the country, which has been really great for this series. Tonight, we have a very special program. It's going to be hosted by Brenda Bunting, who is on here with a fabulous purple bow on her head there. So everyone can say hi to Brenda. Before I introduce Brenda more formally, I just want to remind everyone that the Prince George's County Memorial Library System is here to serve all of you. If there's anything that you need from us, please let us know. And we might not have the answer, but we will try and find the resource for you or the service in order to get you what you need. We are offering curbside service at 17 of our branches. While we're in COVID times right now, we have drive-up Wi-Fi at our libraries, a huge collection of ebooks and audiobooks, and our print collection is also accessible. We also offer Wi-Fi hotspots for loan for up to 9 weeks at a time for families that might need to boost their internet situation at home with all the different folks using the signal at the same time. For information about all that, you can visit our website at pgcmls.info. Anyone in the DC, Maryland, or Virginia area can get a free virtual library card, and you can sign up for that at pgcmls.info as well. We have our own collection of ebooks and audiobooks. So if you have cards for other systems, you can beat those hold times and come get it from Prince George's County because we've got a really great collection available there. At the end of the night, I'll let you know about some upcoming events that are very special with some nationally renowned poets. Featuring one of them will feature our very own County Poet Laureate Sister Joy Alford, who's with us tonight. Thank you for joining us once again. We appreciate your presence always. And shout out to my colleague Carian Gray, who is the Adult and Senior Services Specialist at the library. She is joining us tonight, which is really great. She coordinated this year's One Maryland, One Book initiative, which featured Lisa C's The Island of Sea Women, which is really wonderful. So turning over to the main event here, I'm going to give you a little bit of background info about Brenda, and then she's going to let you know what the format will be. Brenda is a socially conscious poet, author, spoken word artist, and workshop facilitator. She's the 2019 winner of the UUCS Jazz Poetry Slam in Sterling, Virginia, and is published in the Daily Abuse collection, which came out in 2018. Tonight is a very special theme program recognizing that we are in Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And while that is a heavy topic, I think we'll find some opportunities to shed some light on resilience and the strength in community in helping each other through some difficult times. So without further ado, I'm going to turn things over to Brenda. Thanks all for joining us. If you have any questions or need assistance, let me know in the chat and I'll be here to help.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. I am very happy to see everyone, familiar faces, and some people I don't know and hope to get to know. So I am really excited that people are excited about poetry, that they care about what is going on in our collective community around domestic violence and bringing awareness to that and keeping it in the forefront is very important. It affects not just that family, but it affects the community, it affects the world. It really has a profound ripple effect. So I thought just, what a good way to kind of showcase what is going on and just using our voice and using arts. And so I already have probably about close to 10 people who I know are ready to share. If someone else would like to share, a poem, if you would let me know in the chat, and I definitely would be happy to go ahead and, let you share your work as well. So currently what we're going to do is I'm going to start off with the poets who I know will be sharing. You do not have to have a poem specifically around domestic violence. And that's one thing that I want to be clear. I don't want someone to feel like that they can't share a poem because it's not about domestic violence. I just think it's important for us to talk about that and for that awareness to be there. Still, the statistics year after year, 1 in 4 women will experience intimate partner abuse or domestic violence in their life. 1 in 7 men, and that doesn't get talked about a lot or enough, just because of where our culture currently is. And so I think I'll start this evening off with a piece that I wrote for an awareness event I did about a week and a half ago. And then I'm gonna go down the list. I already see a name, so you might see me scribbling time to time just to make sure that I get everyone in. And let's just sit back and, you know, draw a collective breath, relax. We're in the comfort of our own home. If anyone feels trauma or triggered or anything like that, you can mute, you know, you can move away. I think it's very important for people not to engage in spaces that move from healing to traumatic. So just be very aware of how you may be affected if you are a survivor, as I am a survivor. Okay, and so I'm gonna start this piece. I'm gonna start this off with a piece I wrote called "With Wings to Fly." You shall tear away mightily, protected, engulfed, in blazing sun goddesses that will cover your trail with incendiary whirlwinds. Your prolonged tangle of knotting is unraveling into straight weaving paths of courage as you become the basket weaver to carry your own courage. Your hands hold the twisting death sentence, a threat no longer to the promise of your existence. You took victory in your own hands and consumed her bittersweet fruit. There is no denying the solace of hope that cleared your tear-swollen eyes and strengthened the trembling involuntary to stillness. The dark imprints that were branded into your heart began to lighten. The bird course of angry pecking, the incessant tinnitus that made rational thoughts seesaw and vibrate with quickened insecurity has moved in migration, silenced by the sound of closing doors. Love had invited you in. You came with packed bags full of giving, opened them freely, only to see the truth dressed up in a madman's clothes. The assaults were brutal as shock stared at the reflection in the mirror and tasted the blood of abuse. Baptism in the wave of fear, and fear pushed down farther into waves of doubt, with skin being scrubbed into raw and tender. Lewd love indoctrination is drowning humiliation until flight awakens from a deep place in the soul that was forgotten. She steps forth powerfully and steps into the breaking until the steps become a walk, and the walk quickens into pacing, and the walk becomes a run. And when the goddesses saw this, they handed her angel wings that was needed to ascend beyond the battering, beyond the sounds and the call. She smiled for the first time in a long time, with wings to fly, and that was all. So that's With Wings to Fly. Okay, and so we have a very special guest from across the waters. Skylar White is here, and she is going to be sharing her poetry. She comes from Australia, and it is just, oh, I love the hair. I love it. It's so good to see you. I wish I was where you, is that a backdrop or are you actually there?
Hey.
Hi.
Now, hey, how you going? No, this is just a backdrop.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I need to go where you're at. So good to see you, Skylar. If you just want to share a little bit and then your piece, we would definitely be happy to hear you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and inviting me along. Yeah, this is a topic that is super close to my heart. I personally have not suffered domestic violence, but people very close to me have. And this poem was written in response to, I guess, the powerlessness that I feel as an onlooker. I think that there's a lot of red tape that prevents loved ones from actually being able to step in and help those that are in the middle of domestic violence and are unable to save themselves. So this is called Scream. A terrified scream is not the soundtrack to living the dream. Straight from nightmare, it conjures images obscene and pumps fear-fueled adrenaline through the bloodstream. Domestic violence does not discriminate. It's everywhere, like the condensate that gathers in the hot air of words we use to commiserate with families whose lives will never be the same, because someone they love has been taken out of the game by a perpetrator who can only be insane. Why else would they inflict pain on the ones they say they love? At the funeral, we ask, why did they stay? Why didn't they leave? We don't want to have to grieve. Why didn't they get out? We would have taken them in. We put the blame on them to cover our own sin of knowing, but doing absolutely nothing. Because what do? We go to fundraisers, we buy raffle tickets, we raise money to raise awareness, but really we're complicit because all this doing what we're doing is doing nothing for that person who sometime this week will be terrified, curled up on the kitchen floor whilst the perp kicks, spits and wreaks havoc on their body with steel cap booted feet. Why do they stay? Why don't they leave? Do any of us have the courage to walk across the street, bang on a door when we hear an abusive ruckus and free them all from a perpetrating fucker? Or do we convince ourselves, we shouldn't interfere, it's best left to the authorities with all the right gear like red tape by the truckload, which keeps their hands tied until the victim gets hospitalised or eventually dies? Can we really ask, why do they stay when we, not beaten nor cowed, do not have the power to get them away? Domestic violence does not discriminate. It feeds on blind eyes and processes that complicate, leaving victims without safety or a means to escape situations which annihilate the self-esteem required to get the hell out. On a daily basis, we interfere in all kinds of shit that we hold dear. We leap in, take charge, boss people around, but when DV's suspected, we retreat to higher ground. And whilst I'm entertaining you today, abusive situations are getting underway. So instead of asking, why do they stay, cross that street, bang on doors and refuse to retreat from the child with the blackened eye and the cold bare feet. Make it clear, you won't stand by doing nothing for one more day. It is not okay. Domestic violence does not discriminate. Perpetrators blame love, not hate, for their violent actions which insidiously create hollowed out holes in those whose only mistake was to not see through their disguise before it was too damn late. And ours is assuming the abused are of sound mind, that trauma has not destroyed them beyond being able to leave the abuse behind. So I have to ask, when will we seek power for those who hold the victims dear? When will we untie the hands of those who want to interfere? When will we unite to demand a global regime that refuses to accept or tolerate one more terrified scream? Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. That was wonderful, because it's calling the community, to get involved, and just so powerful. Thank you so much, Skylar. That was wonderful. I believe we have, is Catrice, did you want to read? Is Catrice Greer? Are you reading tonight?
Yes, I'd be happy to read
Yes.
tonight.
Hi, Catrice. It's
Hi,
so good to see
hi.
you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty
Good,
good.
good.
Thank you. Okay.
Good to see you.
How about I read? I have a few, but I can start off with this shorter one because there's so many people that I'm sure want to get in and read.
Yes, yes. If you could, I love your work. If you could start off one, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and then share your piece, if you would, please, ma'am.
I am a poet, a writer from Baltimore, Maryland. Been writing a long time. I write about lots of things. Mainly the human experience can sum it up, and that runs the gamut. Sometimes I pop some science into my writing. And I do some spoken word, but I'm more of an on the page kind of poet. But I have respect for all the work. So I am a domestic violence survivor, among some other things, but that only helps to inform the work, but it can't build the work. You got to write it. So I wanted to maybe read something short today. I have a couple of things, and if you loop back around, I have other things if you need to, but this is called You Will Find Me. You will find me. My greatest fear is that you will find me. Bend me over like my arms, legs, fingers into knots, and there will be far too many reasons to run. Too many people to tell and too hard to explain why I am running for my life. Can't find an exit, and even though we are worlds apart, they always want to know where to find me. Searching every crevice, the fascination of watching my life crumble like brittle bone, cracking, splintering in your grasp, and no one to answer to. It arouses you into a frenzy that is too hard to run from, too hard to resist, to find out if you can do it just one more time. That is called You Will Find Me. Thank you.
Thank you. That was so powerful. Thank you, Catrice, for sharing. Hopefully we can come back around again. And we have Diane Wilburn Parks. Are you going to be sharing today? Diane Wilburn Parks, Ms. Parks?
Hello, Brenda. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
It's so
Yes,
good
I'll
to
share.
see you.
I will share a piece. This has been very enlightening, and I absolutely appreciate you for even having your topic of domestic violence. So I'm not reading, maybe I am, but this is called Pendulum. This is when people are just kind of tired and pulled. Pendulum. I am pulled and spun from a pole, dripping of mud, of lakes, of backwards, of forwards, and downings and liftings. My mind's whirling inside one clear drop that rushes and lingers, twisting into narrow before dissolving onto me and into my wet. I am the catch of the day, a pendulum off balance, a fish flapping over water along life's edge, dangling from a rod that keeps fishing me out of the blue, wet waters that hide my secrets, that settle underneath rippling waters. There are no bottom feeders today. I am pulled. Thank you.
Wow, Diane, thank you. Your poetry is always so amazing, and it's just so relevant to almost anything that it is that we talk about. I just absolutely love it. Same to you. And we have our poet laureate of Prince George's County that is here. So happy to see her, Sister Joy. did you have something that you wanted to share with us today?
Thank you. Yes, I do have a relatively short poem, and it's titled, "A Woman Once Laughed." Her smile was gentle, soft, warm, and inviting. She shared her laugh often. Some said a bit too often. Such was her way throughout life. She was mother, grandmother, aunt, and friend. Each role suited her just fine. Not one to shout, not her style. She preferred to smile and laugh, gentle and soft, often tinged with nervousness. Her delicate dance, her delicate laugh danced like ripples from a stone skipping across a satin lake. Her pain, like the bruises beneath her makeup, remained hidden behind her smile and masterful brushstrokes that even Van Gogh would envy. She mirrored a perfect smile, refined by years of laughter and brushstrokes, seemingly, seamlessly crafting a flawless foundation, concealing imperfections of a life riddled with pain, heartache, and sorrow, punctuated by punchlines that had nothing to do with laughter.
Wow, thank you so much. That was, I love the way you read it too. It was, yeah, I mean, it's just something else, how kind and how cruel we can be to one another. Man, it's just amazing. We can hug somebody with our hands and hurt somebody with our hands. So just have to be mindful of what we say and do to one another. So I have Lady Di who wants to share. And Lady Di, want to tell a little bit about yourself. So happy that you're here.
Good evening. Hi, Brenda. Thanks for hosting this tonight.
Thank you for being here.
I'm happy to be here. I'm a Poet of Excellence for Prince George's County for 2020. And the poetry has been one of my saving graces during this pandemic. Recently, I wrote this poem that I'm sharing. It's called "Where's the Light?" There's no song to carry along for mental illness, unless the melody is sad, sad as can be. In and out of gentleness, forever trouble arises, wishing and hoping to rid demons, conquering minds. Yelling, hollering out all day, all night, rattling and chattering uncontrollably, sedated to stupor, under medication not adjusted, not taken, off consistent schedule. Family and friends worn to disappearance, running from embarrassment, only to leave loved one behind, knowing feelings of abandonment is surely undesirable. On outside looking in, wondering why thunderous cries are not acknowledged. quietly contemplating suicide, feelings absent from love, serious condition to be up under, pondering, wondering if sleep comes during night, will daylight ever unfold again? For Ed and other kind lost souls. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody, don't forget to breathe. We're gonna be holding our breath through this. We'll pass out, so. Nice, deep cleansing breaths, because this is a heavy subject. So I have coming up, you tell us a little bit about yourself, Storm, if you wanna share your piece.
Sure. My name is Storm. I'm in Greenfield, Massachusetts. I'm a metaphysical minister. I'm an organizer. I'm a poet, a songwriter, a storyteller, and domestic violence is something that I have known. I was physically abused as a child. I spent 4 years at an all-boys paramilitary boarding school, which was a culture of violence, and I ended up being an abused husband. So I'm really glad that you also talked about men who are abused. This poem is called True Confessions. Well, I might have been a juggler if you let me play a while. Might have been a lover if you only let me smile. Yet you wrapped me up in darkness and turned your face away. So there's only my confusion left to dance today. And it dances in the mirror, dances with my feet, dances through my fingers, dances on the street. So I cry out to my Savior and I call upon my God and I pray that come tomorrow I won't feel so damn odd. And sometimes there's sunshine and sometimes there's rain and sometimes there's laughter, yet always there is pain. Well, I might have been a juggler if you let me play a while. Might have been a lover if you only let me smile. Yet you wrapped me up in darkness and turned your face away. So there's only my confusion left to dance today. Left to dance today.
Thank you so much. Wow, that's so powerful. And thank you for your courage because, you know, it really, men rarely speak up and,
And I was
and just come out.
I was married to a rageaholic, and it literally took me over a year to understand that if I was getting hit once, I was still getting hit. You know, she'd get very angry and explode and then be very apologetic and try to be loving. But she's also since then been diagnosed as narcissistic and histrionic. So you can imagine what it was like.
Indeed, much respect to you. And thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. All right, y'all, don't forget to breathe. We have next, if you'll tell a little bit about yourself, Patrice Smith.
Good evening, everyone. I'm, besides being a poet, I'm an educator and a budding guitarist, just learning to play the guitar. So I'd like to share a poem with you that I wrote for tonight. It's called Slipping. They vowed and tried, but trust was tested and snapped like dry twigs strewn to the ground and left to decay. Now their young bear the brokenness of their inners. Amidst all the hurt and confusion, and even too much intrusion from outside of the circle, tempers flared, igniting like sparkles tossed inside a tender flame. No one seemed to care and pushed past the limits, trying to make wrongs right. Eventually, pride was hung out to dry on a bare thread lifeline. Painful words soaked in pools of emotion, hurled through the air, landing like time explosives in the front bedroom upstairs, where tension bounced back, blame wall to wall, excessive force, silent cries, emotions entangled in battered cries, words of remorse, signs of sorrow. Tomorrow's promises form cycles, then recycle, stay, fight, grab, go, flee, mother in flight +3, cling close in a safe haven, but only temporarily. Scathing scars lingering inside and out. Some will never vaporize. It hurts. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. All these poems are just masterpieces. They are truly addressing the heart and the pain and the lingering sorrow that comes from someone deciding that they have the right to hurt someone else. And no one has the right to do that. So for supporters and survivors and, you know, for everyone who has come, thank you so much. Thank you. It's wonderful. So now we have, I might say it wrong, so sorry, Tricia De Jesus-Gutierrez? Gutierrez, is that it?
Hi there, yeah, De Jesus-Gutierrez, that's good.
Okay, I tried. And tell a little bit about yourself, if you will, if you want to, you know, and you all just tell as much or as little as you want to about yourself, and if you share your piece. Thank you.
I am Tricia De Jesus-Gutierrez. I am a poet and writer from the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area. I am off theme today, but my poem is about a recollection from childhood. It's called The Taste of Rice in a Different Language. First, we stumble into the unfamiliar room attempting at contrapuntal poetry. These fingers are candles, fine tapers, I am told, when tongues are fat with flattery. They flick worriedly at the flies hovering to catch a sip of humidity on my neck, flushed. They tap on the pandan mat in front of them, as if skin touching leaves are reassurance. These fingers can pick gingerly at bungang araw, bougainvillea on my shoulder, flushed. Their grace cannot pick up grains of rice to blend into the locale and avoid ridicule. These elegant hands find only enemies swaying among the sugar cane. Now we make it homogeneous because with the people of these United States, is this still right? Always existed in the margins. These fingers are candles, fine tapers, I am told, when tongues are fat with flattery. These fingers can pick gingerly at bungang araw, bougainvillea on my shoulder. They flick worriedly at the flies hovering to catch a sip of humidity on my neck, flushed. Their grace cannot pick up grains of rice to blend into the locale and avoid ridicule. They tap on the pandan mat in front of them as if skin touching leaves are reassurance. These elegant hands find only enemies swaying among the sugar cane. Now, shall we put flesh among these bones in this lean, lean time? Our family newborn took a trip to the river Damiana, the same river several years back where my parents met and courtship became the next step. My aunts, to wash the communal laundry, caustic soap and palo-palo in tow. My cousins and siblings to wade and play a shy hide and seek among the large rocks. Every soul omitted the strong black morning coffee and sparse breakfast to bring their appetites to the water's edge, as if this too could appease the tiny river gods. The older women folk woke up earlier than their normal 5 o'clock in the morning, to be sure to carefully pack a full lunch nestled like sated infants among the pandan leaves. A hearty country meal of salted dry fish, mungo with malunggay, and of course, the bounty of rice. Our parents watched us carefully, even as they struck up earnest, hungry conversation with relatives they had been starved of for so long, living away in a foreign country where bread was rice and there was the vulgar excess of red meat available upon the table. The sun made its sedate trip across the impossible, cloudless blue sky, and all of a sudden it squatted upon our heads, a signal for our elders to beckon our brown raisin bodies out of the rush of the water and onto the muddy banks. My chahin, being the maiden aunt head of our clan, was allowed the order of how to unzip the fragrant leaf packages and undress the waiting delicacies. While she did this with a meditative quality, she informed us in careful English that we would eat with our hands, as tradition dictated that a Filipino picnic be eaten by hand, kamayin mo, wasn't merely born of necessity, it was unspoken etiquette, the way our stomachs and hands could honor the earth's issue. I was given a green square, rice, fish, tin with vegetable-laden stew, and instructed sternly to find a smooth, flat rock to alight on. I laid the leaf level on my lap, and I didn't look up to see if anyone else had started to eat. So great was my craving to fill my belly. I only raised my beginning to be sleepy eyes from my leaf plate to the sounds of raucous laughter, voices mature and waifish mingling. Hindi yata mukhang marunong si Tricia gamitin ang kanyang kamay. It does not look like Tricia knows how to properly eat with her hands. For you see, when you are Filipino, your palms must face up. 4 fingers form a de facto scoop, while your thumb encourages the morsels like little prisoners marching into your mouth. In the 1st grade in Vallejo, my mom packed me a lunch of rice, and I was immediately seen as other. On that river, I was pleasingly tan as the newly husked coconut, but only my skin screamed, Pinay! All the while my fingers, mga traidor na Americano, gave me away. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tricia. I really love how you interweave your language in that piece. I did another event, and it was just so powerful to me. This particular poet was from India, and she spoke of domestic violence as oppression. And it's not just necessarily a hit or a slap, although that is what we're most familiar with. It can also be yelling and disrespecting. And this encompasses children and the abuse of children. I know we put it in a whole separate category because it is so vast, but it's just so powerful because in these formative years, the impact is like an echo throughout your life, and the abuse of a child a lot of times lingers for a lifetime, even though a person may be healed from that. So much respect, and thank you for coming. I love San Francisco, so pretty, for coming across the waters, coming across the land to share that. And I appreciate it. So now we have Karen, I'm not even going to try to say your last name, Njoku. Is she here? Is she still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
It's Karen Njoku.
Oh, okay. If you would just tell us a little bit about yourself as much as you like and share your piece. Thank you for coming.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. My name is Karen. I live in Prince George's County, and I'm a pharmacist. And this particular piece that I wrote was based on an experience I had growing up, one of my family members, and I didn't quite understand her strength until I became an adult. And it's called Her Escape. As an outsider looking in, I have sympathy. She's a smart yet funny family member, and I admire her dignity. As Miss Angelou explained, when she walks into a room, the fellows stand or fall down to their knees. So why did she secretly collect boxes and suddenly move, leaving the house keys? A new life, a new address. Her struggle is now in the past. Too many women were not able to walk away. Various excuses and reasons were used to stay. The children, the financial stability, whatever she fabricates. So rest in peace to all those who sadly could not escape.
Yeah. Wow.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Karen. I appreciate that. And you're right in PG County. Okay, awesome. Good, good, good. So our next poet, do we have Elizabeth here? Oh, hi, Elizabeth. Liz, hi, Miss Liz. Okay, so this is part of our
I wore my purple.
yes, yay! From our Glow group, Liz Stanley. Awesome, awesome. Well, I'll let you introduce yourself. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you. And I'm sorry for the reflection on my glasses. I don't know what I'm there. So this is a poem called Grace, and it's a short poem. Grace. What my grandmother gave, I carry inside. An antique diamond ring, one pale mink stole, 3 kits biting the pelt in front, holding on for the shoulder ride to church. Shoulder? Keep your shoulders back and stand up straight. 1 spinet piano, new, melodic. But when I showed too little gratitude, my father struck my cheek with the back of his hand. 1 lovely dark-haired China doll, red silk gown, whose foot broke off at the ankle and could not be repaired.
That's nice. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you coming and sharing that. When you said shoulders back, I leaned back. That's just I think we all wear shoulders straight. We're told that. Thank you so much, Liz.
I wanted to, you're welcome. I wanted to underline that family abuse is generational.
Absolutely.
I think that my grandmother was just very, directive, strong. She never hit me, but I think, I don't know what went on between her and her son. And then her son was my father. So
absolutely. Yeah.
That one time, and thankfully it was the only time that he struck me, but it really made a very strong impression.
Yeah, it only takes one time, whether it's one time or many times. There's no number of times for that. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So now to Miss Billye Okera. Tell us a little bit about yourself and share something. So good to see you, Billye.
Billye, you are currently muted. If you wouldn't mind unmuting for us, that'd be great.
I guess that makes sense.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I've been writing poetry since I was 17, and my journey with abuse issues and sexual and physical abuse, it started in childhood, and in childhood you're made to stay silent and stuff. So and then I so appreciate Diane reading that poem about mental illness, because the mental illness that I have dealt with because of abuse has been major depressive disorder. I've had it since whenever, even before I was diagnosed, I had it. So this is not so much a poem about abuse, but it's called Thoughts After a Night of Depression. Why are we dying? An apple, a garden, a choice, a voice calling through the mist, where are you? And one insisting the other is the culprit. One piece of fruit and eternity is off, and labor and death enter and control, while we march each to our own ending, defending faith born of fear. Why are we dying anyway? An angel fell, his cohorts with him, because God had an oops moment. And from there to eternity, we shoulder the warfare for things we did not do. And while I lay on the altar, pending my regret, I am beset by the notion that God left long ago on a voyage, knowing answers he's not going to give. And as I live, I know only these questions. Who arbitrated this agreement? Who set upon papers absolutes for which there are no absolutes we can fathom, really? Who among the thousands of witnesses holds truth above all truths and tells it plain and simple for common folk to know a God of love, his yoke calm and easy, without the sleazy fear of death and hell looming as a backdrop to all there is and ever will be. See, when I tell them God is a God of love and he wouldn't, they say he is a God of wrath and he does what he does. When I say he knew things all before him and he coulda, he shoulda, they say, who are you to charge creation and creator? Who are you to say what God must do to be God? Well, he could have wiped out death. Why are we dying? A shroud, a cramped box, a dirge, ascending the descending hill to oblivion. Why are we the beneficiaries of creation in situ, sprung into malignant emaciations of soul? Shh, don't tell anyone. Stash it in a chiffon rolled into a sachet scarf and forget it. Make sure the members of the presbytery don't get wind of it. Make sure my grandma don't know, for she is one of switches, and even from the ridge of heaven, she will break a branch and strike a stripe for hell. And don't tell my lover, Joe, or my sisters, the Pentecostal reverends, rallying the banner for righteousness, rigidity, and remorse. Of course, don't tell the children. Don't interrupt their play and have them say, but mommy, but mommy, then scuttle them away, quoting chapter and verse, rehearsed, but making no sense or reason. Shish, don't tell a soul that even now that I am old, I still badger God for purpose and am bored with boilerplate answers grandfathered in from men in designer suits and Rolex. Yes. Why are we dying? The voice of one crying in the wilderness came to us, heralding the light that would outshine the darkness. He was for life, yet the world wants death and is charmed by the agony of its people, posted and paraded on the evening news at 7. In this apologetic theme, I redeem him. I redeemed him from responsibility. See, I have seen the enemy and it is I, that old cliche, my hope plastered to the side of my bed, praying that in the night, the sickle will miss the head of a fool blabbering. There is much more to this poem. There is much more to this poem.
Ooh, wow. Deep breath, everyone, on that one. Billye, I knew you was gonna bring it. I'm telling you, but these poets and poems, I mean, aren't they like living experiences? Isn't it just different ones, some long, some short, just such a world, and just the way people are opening up and expressing themselves. I love it. Thank you so much, Billye. Thank you. Appreciate that. I appreciate all of the poets who shared, come with such honest voices from such, sometimes such raw places. So just remember to breathe and relax and all of that good stuff. So now, Bernardo, were you going to share a poem? I saw you said something in the chat. Did you want to share something?
Indeed, my sister.
Sorry?
Indeed, yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself and let's hear it.
Come on, Brenda, you know me.
Everybody else, now we have people from, you know, all around Bernardo who might, you can introduce yourself however brief you want.
Well, I'm a poet from originally born in Washington, D.C. I came along at a really difficult time in the world, beginning of civil rights around 1955, I believe, when the Emmett Till had just been killed, and a lot of anxiety. And as a poor Black boy growing up, there was a lot of stuff we had to endure, a lot of tears you couldn't cry, a lot of discipline. So I got stories, but I didn't bring those tonight. I've been writing for about 50 years, you know, writing a long time. Because my writing started as a way of recording those things I was experiencing that I couldn't talk about. Forbidden to talk about those things. So, but I survived them and God brought me through. So I'm here today. The poem I decided to do, I decided to expand the idea of domestic violence because I'm a wordsmith. So what I do is I look at words, and I looked up domestic, and it says existing or occurring inside a particular country, not foreign or international. Violence, behavior involving physical force intended to hurt, damage, or kill someone or something. So going from that definition, I look at where we are today, especially prominent now in a time of an election, time where we're trying to change the feelings in this country, because for real, we all been abused for the last 4 years. We've all been held hostage. We've all been facing every day listening to words that curse at you, that tear you down, lies, you know, and the people have abuse in the streets. So, you know, from anywhere from the kids in the cages to the bitter, nasty language that we have had to endure, you know, we are coming through this now. And in a homeland called America, domestic, eclectic call to arms, voting the Clarion out of office will reduce the scale of harm. In a field in Mississippi, a field as yet unnamed, grows a field of fiery flowers, yet it is a field of shame. You see, this field was tilled by slaves. Some would wield their tools and chains, worked until their lives were gone. In this field lies their remains, dumped in a hole. No funeral, no marker held their names. Considered property, not human. No one was held to blame. In a country forged in freedom, it almost seems insane. These men and women born here should be denied the same. Sometimes the Mississippi River runs over, filled with rain, and it floods these fields of flowers like tears for years of pain. Some say the flowers' fieriness can surely be explained from feeding on the fury of righteous slave remains. One story passed on to me, historic stamp or stain, how in the year 2000, a woman's family came, and marching amidst the marshlands, one woman on a cane, relying on remembrance of half-supported claims. Just where a matriarch might be midst flowers wild, untamed, in a patch of daisies, thus Daisy was her name. There are many fields in America where this story has not changed, and it's not until we deal with these ills that peace through forgiveness can reign.
That was, whew. Bernardo, I felt that in my bones, man. Wow. Wow. I love the way you read it.
When you think of Sandra Bland, and you think of we all watched George Floyd getting murdered on television. We watched, somebody told me that. It didn't really dawn on me. I actually saw this guy die on television.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there is so much abuse that has to be answered for. But we have to play our part. Like the lady was saying, we got to run across the street and bang on the door. Get that dude out of here. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Bernardo. Thank you. Woof. I'm telling you, man, I felt it in my bones. I felt that in my bones. It's just incredible. So now we have Carian Gray. If you'll tell a little bit about yourself and share your piece. If she's here. Yeah, okay, good. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Now we can. It's faint.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Yes, faint.
It's still faint?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. That's not. Is this better?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Very good, Karen. Thank you. Thank you for making the adjustment and welcome.
Okay. Sorry about that. My name is Carian. I always tell people Carian the librarian. I work with PGCMLS. I'm adult and senior services specialist, but I also write poetry, have done stand-up, a lot of different things in between. But I have a poem, a Christian poem about domestic abuse that I like to share. Okay. Restoration. I looked into a broken mirror, expecting to see a distorted image among the broken glass, but a new mirror could not reflect a truer image than that of the broken glass. I was shattered. A distorted image of my former self, broken. See the cracks in the mirror? Scarred. See the cuts on my head? Bruised, but in time would heal. What about the damage on the inside? If this is love, why do I feel so empty? If this is your love, what is your hate like? Loving you, I lost me. Loving you has separated me from my faith. God has given me the strength today to say, my body, my being is not yours. I am taking it back today. Somewhere in the middle of this mess, I strayed. I declare today that I offer my body up as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. For it is with God who shows us what love is. Love is sincere. Knowing this is the time for me to leave and piece these broken pieces together. Oh, what can make me whole again? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. Oh, precious is the flow that makes me white as snow. No other fount I know, nothing but the blood of Jesus. It is the time that I hate what is evil and cling to that which is good. So as I leave you, let me tell you what love is and what it ain't. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. With that being said, you should know why I'm leaving and know why my exit is not optional, however mandatory. Goodbye, and may God bless.
I like that.
Wow, thank you so much,
Amen.
Carian, the librarian. That was wonderful, absolutely. And such a good note to end on. This was an hour well spent. This was an hour that will ripple, you know. It's not just about this poetry event, but people will talk about it and people will share it. I have 4 or 5 people who kept texting me, I can't get in. So this is being recorded and it'll go out and it'll just ripple. And if we can just, you know, I just feel like some of us are doing such a good job to be aware and active and kind, and that just compensates for so many people that are just doing the exact opposite. So just much respect to the poets, to the listeners. Kudos to all of you. I loved every single poem. I enjoyed your energy, and I thank you so much to the library and to Creative Suitland, who is a co-host, a co-sponsor as well, for having this event. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you.
Brenda, can I ask you and Nick a quick question? I put it in the chat. There doesn't seem to be a way to copy the chat tonight. Is there a way we could get sent it?
There should be a record button, right?
Storm, what I'll do is I can send the chat file out to everyone who registered when I send out the video link. We usually we send out the YouTube link rather than the Zoom archival link because it doesn't stay up there permanently. So, but I'll make sure that I share the chat.
Okay, that's wonderful. Yeah, it let me select everything, but then I couldn't paste it.
Yep, no worries.
Great.
Security settings are all a little funky on these Zoom things to keep things safe for folks.
Yeah, and you can look there. There's often a setting when I go onto chats where it's set up so there's 3 little dots in the lower right-hand corner, which will let each individual save the chat. So it may be a different way you can set it up. Down at the bottom where it says everyone, there's often, it will then say file, and beside the file, there'll be 3 little dots, so that it's another configuration of the chat. I don't know if it would be available.
Gotcha, we'll take a look.
Thanks.
Thank you, Storm.
Yep.
Thank you again, Brenda. You are a wonderful, gracious host who created a safe space for all of us. And thank you to everyone who was courageous and willing to bear their hearts with this topic and the related topics. And yes, thank you, Brenardo, for reminding us all that everyone needs to go vote and participate in hopefully what is a fair election, we hope, right? And so if you have not registered for some reason in Maryland yet and wish to vote, you can register on site at any early or regular election day voting center. Registering on site just means that your ballot isn't necessarily counted by the end of election day. It's counted in the process that follows after those days. So please, please, please take care of that process. There's information on our website at pgcmls.info. And just before we wrap, I'd love to invite you to several additional poetry events that we have coming up in the next month. On Sunday, November 1st at 8 p.m., we have a very, very special guest. His name is Richard Blanco. He is an author and poet. You might have come across him when he was the first Latinx and first LGBTQ American to serve as the inaugural poet. And he was participating in President Obama's second inaugural. He's a Cuban American, amazing story, and really, really provocative and important poetry. So I hope you'll join us for that. Sunday, November 1st at 8 p.m. And then on Thursday, November 5th, we have a young, very, very hot author, Kendra Allen, who won the Iowa Prize for nonfiction a couple years ago. Her book is called When You Learn the Alphabet, and it's a series of essays about her coming of age as a Black woman in the United States in this time. And it's really, really powerful. So I encourage you to join us for that. On Wednesday, November 18th, the 18th, we have NEA Literature Fellow Randall Horton joining us. He's a poet and author who has had very, very significant work. And a lot of that work draws from his experience of having been incarcerated and also coming back into non-incarcerated settings afterwards. And I highly encourage everyone to join us for that. And last but not least, on Thursday, November 19th, because we're on a roll with poetry at the library, our very own Sister Joy Alford is going to be interviewing former U.S. Poet Laureate Natasha Trethewey. This is going to be a very special conversation. Natasha has a new book out, which is her memoir called Memorial Drive. And she has a recent poetry collection out called Monuments. She's a winner of the Pulitzer Prize. She's one of the most important literary figures in the country, and we're really grateful that our hometown literary star of Sister Joy Alford will be interviewing her and representing all of us as we hear from Miss Trethewey, who's a really special person. We'll be resuming with open mics in January, so please stay tuned for the announcement around that. We also have a very special poetry event that's going to be announced soon in December, which is going to feature some international poets that Hiram and I are working on, and you'll see more about that within the next couple weeks. Thank you to Carian, who put our link in there, pgcmls.info/events. If there's anything that the library can do for you, please contact us, whether you live in the county or not. We're here to serve. You can reach us by phone, via email, social media, 24/7. If it's morning in Australia, we'll help you out. Whatever we can do, we're here for you. And we really appreciate everyone being a part of this really special evening. And thank you again to Miss Brenda. Okay, everyone, stay safe, wear a mask, be well, keep reading.
Bye.
Writing. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wonderful series.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Sister Joy, I appreciate it. Good
Bye,
night.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.